Thank you, everyone. A little bit of history on McHugh. We're a 125-year-old construction company in Chicago. We've built some of the big skyline buildings in Chicago. 8 out of the 10 buildings are part of our portfolio. We have offices in Chicago and Nashville, and maybe soon in Indianapolis. And we have multiple facets where we do 5 to 10 stories or 100-story buildings. The Reed is a building on the Chicago River. We were the selected concrete contractor. Lendlease Construction and Development was the CM on the project. They were developing this job for themselves. Perkins & Will was the engineer of record. MKA was the Perkins & Will was the architect of record. MKA was the structural engineer of record. We selected McHugh Concrete to be our concrete supplier, who utilized master builders to come up with the mixed designs on this project. A couple of quick facts. It's a 41-story mixed-use building. The top portion of the building is basically condos. The lower portion is apartments, and the first 8 floors are basically parking. The interesting part about where the site is located, there's only one street into access. We have water on the west and a park that was used during the time of construction. So there was really no way in except down one 2-lane road. What makes this project interesting to us is while during the bid process, the developers and CM basically dropped on us, well, this is going to be a low carbon building design for us. Not something we were used to in the Chicagoland area. This was part of Lendlease's initiative. So by 2040, they wanted to be carbon neutral. This was the first building in Chicagoland that we're aware of that basically they targeted us to reduce the amount of carbon in the concrete by about 14%. They worked with us and gave us basically guidelines to what the kilogram of CO2 per yard should have been to reach the goal that they were looking at, 14% reduction. We worked with our supplier, Aremus, and master builders to come up with certain mixes to meet these requirements. Here we're doing a test pour at our yard to see the finishability of the products. We were very concerned finishing slabs, especially post-tension slabs. In the Chicagoland area, we do a 3-day cycle where we're basically stressing the next day. We're meeting FS of 25, so this was a very big concern for us. Previously, our master builders did similar mixes on 432 Park Avenue in New York, if some people are familiar with that, but this was really the first time that they did it in Chicago. So here's kind of a general synopsis of all the mixes on the job. The national average, we were looking at about 100 or 10 million kilograms of CO2 as the GWP value. Lendlease targeted about 8 million based on the mixes and the volumes, and we reached about 6.8 when we initially started. We were probably closer to 6.6 million, so we were actually better than what the target was, just based on the uses of the mixes. Going the wrong way. So we were able to achieve a 32% reduction for the entire project. So we met and exceeded the goal of the project. Most of the mixes were done with, actually all the mixes were done with 1L cement, not 1L, or not type 1 cement, not 1L. And they were all slag and cement mixes. So they were very, very uniform mixes. The pictures of the columns and that transfer wall are all 10,000. The decks are 6. You can't really tell. One of the big concerns on this project was that this building is all exposed ceilings and columns in the units. You couldn't tell where we puddled the concrete at all, which was terrific. That was a concern. Ownership knew of the issue, but it turned out that it worked out pretty well. So if you look at it, the building looks very, very uniform in color throughout. Some of the challenges, like I said, one of the challenges is the access. The other challenge, if it's not really in the slide, but We had a mat, a pretty significant mat, and these two transfer beams sticking out of the mat are actually going over an existing 100-year tunnel, water tunnel. That's part of the sewer system in Chicago. Part of that was that, you know, we had one crane, everything was coming through one road. We did have mass concrete on this job, but the mixes that we provided low heat mixes, which performed very well with very, we didn't even have to chill the concrete. So, sample, the slide on the top right is where the tunnel is. The picture at the bottom of that is our 500-ton crane that we use to set up the tower crane. Part of that picture you can't really see is it's right above a vault that basically is 7 years old. We used our in-house engineer to basically develop a lagging system to spread the loads. Basically, we had to sit with the water department, make sure everyone was comfortable with it. In the long run, it basically no issues resulted from it. Put up the crane in 3 days, 500-ton crane, no problems. The other challenges were Lendlease required that the building facade be basically, during the construction, the building facade was enclosed on all sides for safety purposes with windscreens. As you can imagine, not much laydown room to build 40-foot screens, so we used the waterway. We actually brought in 2 barges with pre-assembled panels, picked them off, sent them on the building. First time I've done that, so a little bit of headaches dealing with insurance, but we got through it. The other interesting part about this building is, if you look at it, that's us at the top, fully cocooned. On the east side of the building, there's an adjacent building maybe 30, 40 feet away, and there's a walking path. Lendlease was trying to, they think of safety as a very top priority. So the lower screen was actually developed with them and the window installer, so if they did lose a panel, they were protected by a secondary screen, which we jumped with our tower crane. And finally, one of the mandates is to have access to the working deck, the framing deck that we're doing. Lendlease does not allow ladders, so you could do stairs. The beauty of this job is we were able to come up with a system where we precast the stair on the ground, 2 sets, every 3 days, and would fly them up basically the day of the pour, the next day, and we had basically a stair access up to the job site, up to the framing deck, basically before the deck was even there. So we decked from there all the way around, and I don't think I have a video of it, but about 11 to 12,000 pound stair lift every for each side. So, questions?